Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today we're on the website of Gardiner Houlgate Auctioneers and we're going to have a look at one of their latest auctions, which is general musical instruments. So there's loads of plucked stuff which isn't guitars, and also other kind of world music instruments, and then the normal bowed stringed instruments, violins, violas, cellos, bows, etc. So lots of interesting stuff in this auction. There's about 481 lots, I think, so it's going to be pretty large, so we're going to try and get through it as quickly as we can. This auction is finishing on the 8th of December. It's the 6th today, so a couple of days left to go. This is one of many auctions that Gardiner Houlgate have had recently, most of them being guitar related. This is the only musical instrument one. Buyer's premium is 26.4% for Gardiner Houlgate, so bear that in mind. If you bid, you have to pay that on top of the hammer price. Once again, this is a UK based auction, so bear that in mind in terms of import export charges, shipping, CITES, all of that fun stuff. So without further ado, because there's a lot to see, I'm going to crack on. And if you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing, liking or commenting, because it really does help. So let's start off with this one. Good Gibson RB800 Mastertone 5-string banjo. Starting bids of 1200, 1500 to 2000 the estimate. It's a bit more information here. We won't get into it too much because we've got lots of stuff to see. Ibanez banjo there. Gretsch Broadcaster 5-string there, so a few good ones already. Another Gretsch Broadcaster. They always have really good banjos, I think, at Gardiner. Vega and a gold tone. Handmade Anonymous banjo there. Majestic tenor banjo. A Camille Vibrante banjo. A good Vega Artist tenor banjo. Another 5-string, another 5-string. Paramount tenor. A Wyman Deluxe tenor open back banjo. Let's have a look at that because we need to show a few banjos, I think. Foliate carved heel. So the estimate is 800 to 1200 on that one. Got a contemporary loud there. Let's have a look at this. Contemporary Pack Cloud built gold tone banjola. Interesting, don't see those too often. 300 to 400. Condition appears to be very good with no discernible damage. Okay. Got a drum kit there. Hudson ukulele. Banjolele there. Another mandolin. 5-string banjo. Practice drums, pearl drums there. Paste cymbals. Banjolele. A filed custom flat top Octavius bouzouki there. 500 to 700. Let's see what else you got here. Victorian duet music stand. These are always popular. Little harp there. Harmonium. Interesting. Whole load of ukuleles there. A few more stringed instruments. Kind of interesting. Good and rare Wurlitzer mandolin. Okay. 250 to 350 they want for that. This is pretty cool. Interesting rare harp guitar. By and stamped A Monzino. 300 to 500. That's a curious one. I think it's actually a mandolin, isn't it, rather than a guitar, but we'll let people work that out for themselves. Withdrawn guitar there. Unusual fretless banjo. Yeah, quite cool head on that. One of these harp lute things, as they say, like Edward Light. 300 to 500. I'm not a fan of these, I have to say. They look fancy from afar, but I don't think they're all that good in person. Very rare and curious instrument fitted with 37 tuning forks. Okay, curious. James Petty, Fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society. Interesting, so some experimental instrument there. Now we've got some of these monochords, which I think I saw on an auction a little while ago, and I've never seen one before, and we've got two of them, 3 to 500. These are pretty crazy. I quite like these. These would be quite cool in a living room. This one a little bit more simple. Music stand, that's quite cute. Another music stand. Interesting French military drum. It really is quite a mix of stuff here. Xylophone. There. Double xylophone. Circa 1790. Interesting. It's quite early. Nice keys there. Tuned single blue glass bars. Very interesting. Another one, circa 1800. Wow, there's a whole collection here. Fine English xylophone, circa 1800. This is the first time I've ever seen anything like this before. Wow, that's really cool. 7 to 900. Yeah, never seen anything like this before. And another one, so clearly someone had a collection of these things. Yeah, that is really interesting. Set of late 19th century, early 20th century door chimes. It's an accordion here. 1000 to 1500, must be pretty high end. Professional model Borsini. Okay. Martin & Co. ukulele. These are usually quite popular. 2 to 300. Let's see what else we've got there. Spanish bandurria. Unusual Neapolitan mandolin with 10 strings. Okay. 12 string. Dulcimer there. Set of 8 French tunable tuning forks, which is actually pretty interesting and quite cool. Practice keyboard there. Another one there. A couple of more duet music stands. Like I said, these are always popular. Well, pretty interesting auction so far, to be honest. Left-handed 5-string banjo, Hona Verdi accordion, zither tuning bits. Some more bits and pieces, loads of reference books. I think it's worth looking at the reference book section of Gardiner Houlgate, because they usually just dump everything in. There's a good chance to have some interesting bits onto kind of ukuleles and ukulele related instruments here. Some other kind of banjo, mandolin, and I think a Waldzither type instrument there. Let's see what else we got here. Tenor banjo again, contemporary mandolin, a couple of other banjo related things, more ukulele banjos, mandolins, more banjos. Nothing too crazy so far other than here. See this, that's nice. Good Sterling Red Fox 5-string banjo, 2,500 to 3,500 there. I never actually kind of pay attention if Gardiner Houlgate sell things quite well in terms of banjos, only violins really, so should monitor that really. Another Gibson Mastertone RB 800, 1400 to 1800. This one a little bit higher estimate than the other one. It's a mandolin and a little banjo related instrument there. More ukuleles, mandolins, tenor ukulele there. More ukuleles and bits and pieces. All of this stuff is probably quite interesting, but got a bit, don't have the time really. Good modern English Tiefenbrücker lute. By and labelled Alan Clark, Blythe Bridge 1978. 5-string Paragon banjo, another banjo, really is quite a lot of banjos. Rare and unusual large tack head minstrel banjo. Old mandolin labelled Arnaud Viol d'Ardine. Body with a viol gamba outline. A slightly odd thing. Old Portuguese guitarra, fado guitar there. the nice kind of tuning mechanism at the top there. Be quite nice to see a picture of the back of that. Okay, an 18th century English cittern, circa 1770, stamped Rausch with restorations. These are really nice actually. 1000 to 1500 on that. Picture's a bit dark, a bit hard to see, but there we go. Some cases, more banjolele things, more accordions, more kind of banjo related things, some of which are probably very interesting, but can't get into it too much, otherwise we'll be here forever. Wheatstone and Co. English concertina, 6 to 800. This looks like a nice one. 48 metal buttons, as we say, always popular. Interesting old Neapolitan mandolin, I think. Oh right, for some reason they're showing the ukulele first. Okay, labelled Vinaccia. Okay, interesting. More pictures would be good. Another Martin ukulele here, that's interesting. By and stamped. Lacknell concertina there, 2 of them actually, not quite as nice as the other one. Oh, we've got a whole collection here. C. Jones, Lacknell one here, good and rare early C. Jeffries 3-row Anglo concertina in modern pitch G and D 2 to 3, so that's fairly significant. Large dulcimer, 2 conga drums, it's interesting. Another loud there, that's really nice. Regency style quartet music stand, 4 to 600, that's really nice. That'll probably be quite popular. Okay, we've got some gambas here. Treble viola da gamba by and labelled Wolfgang Erbel. Okay, with 2 bows, 1400 to 1800, yeah, ready to go. Probably not too bad a deal actually. Tenor viola da gamba, same maker, with a bow, ready to go, 700 to 1000. These bows are not very nice, those early kind of whatever viol bows that people were churning out in the 60s or whatever. Bass viola da gamba by Erbel, circa 1970. Couple of bows here. That one not so nice. That might be okay. That bow, 1800 to 2500. Actually, probably not a bad deal to be honest. Looks like a fairly nice instrument. A symphony, the medieval hurdy-gurdy, 700 to 1000. By Bernard Ellis. Yeah, pretty cool auction. Consort of 6 Renaissance style recorders by Hopf. Okay, interesting. After Pretorius. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of a bit different. Right, we're on to the next page. Baroque style Sopranino recorder by Dolmetsch. Baroque style Dolmetsch. Baroque style tenor recorder by Moeck, and some other ones here. Baroque style bass recorder by Moeck. Consort of 4 Crumhorns by Gunther Korber, Berlin. Once again, 4 to 600. Interesting wind instruments here. Set of Flemish Bruegel bagpipes there by Victor Nirex. Bass Shorn in F by John Hanchett. Essen circa 1980, 2.5 to 4,000 on that. Great Bass Shorn in C by John Hanchett, Essen circa 1980. Wow, 3.5 to 4. That is absolutely huge. What a monster of an instrument. This is very interesting. A quart bass racket in C by and stamped wood, early music shop, 3 to 500 on these. You can still get these now from the early music shop, but they are pretty expensive, so I'm sure that'll be popular. Banjola, some one-keyed flageolet, and some other bits and pieces. 4 English dulcimers. one inscribed Walter Howell. And we've got a Sheng Chinese mouth organ, some other bits, some other wind instruments here. Those look like organ pipes, I think. There at the sides. Let's see what they say. Yep, some organ pipes. Good solid silver flute by and stamped Germanhardt. Good semi-professional German blackwood oboe by and stamped Sonora. Nice boxwood and ivory clarinet, my favourite. Stamped C. Gerrock, Bishopsgate, London, 150 to 200. Do like the boxwood clarinets. Boxwood ivory flute there. Another one there. Unfortunately, you have to go in to check. Oh, by and stamped Cahusac. Interesting. That is quite curious. Here's one by Clementi. Good contemporary Yamaha bass clarinet there. So some interesting wind instruments. Jupiter alto saxophone, contemporary saxophone there. Contemporary Jean-Baptiste copper and brass pocket cornet. Quite cute. Right, rare tenorune or tenor bassoon by and stamped A. Morton and Sons. Interesting, 1500 to 2000 there. Current bid 1500, so must be pretty rare. Set of contemporary Scottish lowland bagpipes there. Blackwood oboe, bearing the VKS Wien Chicago London trademarks. This is amazing, interesting and very rare large serpent made of brass. This is incredible. 3 to 4. Yeah, this is absolutely mad. Yeah, that is really, that would make an amazing thing for a museum. Good solid silver flute by Muramatsu. That's a good make. Tenor trombone by C.F. Zetch and Son. Okay. Yamaha clarinet there. Besson Class A new standard trombone. Some mouthpieces here. York French brass horn. Melody saxophone. Load more saxophones. Pertin. Rudy Weithoft. See if there's anything else. Another student bass clarinet there. Lark student bassoon. Unstamped bassoon, but possibly by Rydell. 600 to 1000 on that one. That's interesting. Let's see what else we got here. Czechoslovakian bassoon, modern maple mini bassoon, bassoon by and stamped Orsi Milano. Okay, let's see. Okay, and let's just see what's going on there. In a Schreiber hard case. Bassoon again, by and stamped Polisi. Pre-war Colert bassoon, Czechoslovakian bassoon. Wow, lots of bassoons. Another Czech one. German bassoon by Moaning. Bassoon by Colert. Pre-war bassoon by Colert. A whole load of bassoon crooks here. Get loads there. That'll be useful to someone. Old clarinet. One of these metal clarinets there. So on to the next page now. Right, Pearl snare drums there. Chad Smith. Ludwig snare drum there. Ludwig 3-piece gold sparkle kit. Loads of drum hardware and drumsticks. Cymbals here. Istanbul paste. All that kind of stuff there. Zildjian. Okay, we're on to violins and things. Let's see. 20th century violin. Nothing too crazy there. Bohemian. Let's have a look. 19th century violin. Labelled Luigi Carlos. That's kind of fairly curious. Quite a nice looking back on it. Interesting violin labelled Antonius Sit. 2 to 300 on that. 35.7 length of back. Some cases there. Lots of interesting violins, as they say. Let's not get too deep into it on this occasion. 20th century, 19th century Magini copies. These are fairly standard. Large quantity of stringed instruments, various bits there. 20th century violin, French 3/4 violin, 19th century Stradivari copy, 19th century Stradivari copy. German stuff too, German 3/4. This is all pretty standard stuff here, I think, at the moment. Contemporary stuff, Japanese and German, nothing too crazy. Medifino and Companion, these are just French standard ones. So this is all fairly standard stuff. Nothing too crazy. Once again, more 20th century bits. Let's just have a look at this 20th century violin in need of restoration. 30 to 60. Big back opening there. And 3/4. We can ignore those for now. More 3/4 stuff. Medifino. Leslie Shepherd, that's like an import. German violins here. This is all pretty standard stuff. 19th century violin labelled Neuner and Hornsteiner. Let's have a look at this. Not too bad. Let's see. 20th century German violin. Violin circa 1910. Let's have a quick look at that. 35.2 so far. Nothing kind of too crazy. 20th century stuff as well. Let's carry on because I think we've got quite a lot of stuff here. German stuff, 19th century Neuner, Medifino, it's all pretty normal. JHL, Stradivari, some bits and pieces. English violin by and labelled J. Rathbone with a whole load of other bits as well. Interesting 19th century Scottish folk violin. Okay, curious. Labelled copy of Granarius Arch, Smith Campbellton 904. Okay, that's kind of curious, that one. Got a French violin here in need of restoration. Let's have a quick look at that. Definitely in need of something there for sure. Let's see, interesting, one of these clog fiddles there and a violanda. So that's kind of an interesting thing to see. Old petite viola there with two other instruments, so that's kind of curious. Let's see what else we got here for old violins. Worth having a look at. 19th century violin labelled Jacobus Steiner. Looks fairly standard. The case there. French violin labelled Lorraine. Let's have a look at this. Interesting late 18th, early 19th century Mittenwald violin. Looks like it needs some work, but yeah, definitely looks fairly interesting. A whole load of books and stuff here. Also could be quite useful. Golden Age of violin making in Spain. That's pretty cool. A few more books and bits and pieces here. Montagnana, Bergonzi, Amati, a whole load of bits. Now we're on to the bow selection, which I think we're just going to go over fairly briefly because there's quite a lot. There's bundles that are worth having a look at for sure. I think there's always some good stuff in Gardiner. Let's go and move on to some of the individual lots because there's definitely probably some interesting stuff in here. So let's have a look. And French bows here, nickel mounted, nothing too crazy, but can be decent enough. More French nickel mounted bows. Let's see if we can find anything else going on here. Interesting silver mounted bow, stamped W.E. Hill and Sons. Looks quite new though. 2 to 400. Interesting head on that. Good nickel mounted violin bow, unstamped, current bid 300. Looks fairly interesting. good English silver mounted violin bow by and stamped D.I. Newton. That's another interesting one there. Some silver mounted bows there. So let's see what else we got here. More nickel mounted stuff. Good German silver and ivory mounted bow by and stamped Conrad Gotts, 3 to 500 on that. Obviously ivory is a bit of a problem with bows. Let's see, silver mounted viola bow. Let's have a look at that. Unstamped. Definitely check condition reports and things for these. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, quite a lot of stuff here to go through. These Arcus carbon bows. This is quite curious. Interesting old rock violin bow, unstamped. Yeah, not 100% sure if all of that is actually old, but interesting. Contemporary Baroque violin bow. See, that's quite nice. Good English silver mounted violin bow by and stamped George Darby. Interesting adjuster on that. So worth spending your time if you're interested in a bow to have a look through this stuff, because I think there is some pretty good things. We're just kind of blitzing it through. English silver mounted violin bow by W.E. Hill and Sons, 100 to 200. That's a very low estimate. Bow has been broken and repaired at the end of the stick behind the head. Yeah, you can see there, pretty bad repair, but could be a usable bow potentially. French nickel mounted violin bow by Marc Lebert, 4 to 600 there. So that's kind of curious. Let's see, gold and silver mounted violin bow stamped F. Chalupetsky. Interesting. Definitely some curious stuff about. And it's a silver mounted cello bow, unstamped. Okay. Yeah, real crazy amount of bows. Dragonetti style double bass bow apparently. Let's see the head. I just think that's a German style bow. To be honest, it doesn't have the Dragonetti head, but anyway, just my thoughts. Let's see what else we got here. This is interesting. Fine English and gold ivory mounted violin bow by and stamped John Clutterbuck, 1800 to 2400 on that one. Yeah, that's an interesting bow indeed. So that's pretty cool looking. And what else do we have here? A few more things. Silver mounted bows here. Let's have a look at this. Good French silver mounted violin bow, unstamped, 1000 to 1400 on that. Some have VAT, so it's worth looking into that. More silver mounted bows. We're getting into the higher territory here. Good silver mounted violin bow stamped A. Husson, Paris. And a good silver mounted violin bow faintly stamped Albert Nürnberger. Do you think these pictures are a little bit difficult to look at? Some silver mounted cello bows here. We're on to the higher level. Good silver mounted cello bow, probably English, unstamped. Okay, now I think we're on to the better level of instruments here. So, interesting 19th century French violin, unlabelled. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Good late 18th, early 19th century French violin, possibly by Charles Thuvenel. Okay, JTL, 19th century French, we can ignore that for now. German violin, let's have a look at this. Interesting late 18th century, early 19th century violin. In need of restoration, unlabelled, 35.2 length of back, 4 to 800. Already has some bids. German 3/4 there. Small German violins, Stradivari copy. A lot of this stuff is actually probably quite interesting, but for time's sake we'll just skip through a bit. Oblong case. Good model Italian violin by and labelled Aldo Zani. Okay. In Cesena, 1974. Okay, some contemporary violins here. Lots of things with Italian labels. Right, let's have a look at this interesting violin, possibly Italian. Labelled Joseph Guarnerius, 35.9. It's quite a long length of back. Let's see what else we got here. 19th century violin by and labelled Johann Georg Lieb. Okay, interesting 18th century Viennese violin, unlabelled. Yeah, that is quite nice, 450 to 650. 36.4 there, it's quite long. Let's see what else we have here. This is quite curious, interesting early 19th century violin. Bearing original neck and scroll, so it could be a good instrument for historical performance. 35.1 length of back, 4 to 800 the estimate on that. Interesting 19th century violin, 5 to 800. Looks like a horrible repair there. Good violin labelled Giuseppe Bossi. Curious outline to that, 2 to 3. Once again, I don't really pay too much attention to the Gardiner Houlgate results when I probably should. Good violin by and labelled Jan Kudanowski of Cremona. Made for Thomas Smith, Birmingham, 1000 to 1500 on that. Modern Italian violin by and labelled Stefano Cogna. We occasionally see these at Brompton's and other places. Treviso, 6 to 8 on that. This violin is sold with certificate of authenticity from the maker, dated 8th of November 2010. Okay. Let's see what else. This I think is quite curious. Interesting 19th century German violin. Labelled Laurentius Storioni, 5 to 700 on that. Let's carry on. We're just taking a very brief overview this time, we're not going in too deep. Good German violin of the Füssen school, 2 to 3,000 on that. Mittenwald violins here, Belgium violin. Good French violin circa 1820 by and labelled Louis Motessier, 2 to 3 they want on that. Ooh, we're accidentally clicking in everything at the moment. Dresden violins. Let's see what else. Some higher level stuff here. Good violin attributed to and labelled Gabissi Giovanni. It's all very speculative, 4 to 6. Good violin labelled and certified by Puzudek. Okay, to the work of Ottokar F. Spiedlen. Okay, 7 to 9. Certificate from 2020. Okay, interesting. Right, what else do we have here? A rare American violin, labelled and probably by E.O. Berg. 4 to 600 the estimate on that. 19th century English violin, 350 to 450. Interesting central strip down there. 3/4 here. 20th century stuff we can skip by. Let's carry on. Let's have a look at this interesting early 18th century violin, possibly English. That's fairly nice. 600 to 1,000. Violin is sold with the dendrochronology report undertaken by Peter Ratcliffe. Okay, interesting. 35.4. See length of back. 19th century violin, labelled Nicholas Amatus. 2 to 3 on that. Good violin, labelled Georges Mougenot. See what else. Interesting violin, circa 1800. Unlabelled, has had lots of repairs to that. 5 to 700. See, good late 18th century German violin by and labelled Pancrati Reber. 1500 to 2000. Okay, interesting early violin of narrow proportions. Yeah, it's a bit strange looking. Labelled Paulus Castello. Okay. Yeah, not really 100% sure it's super early, but you never know, could be. Just looks like it could be one of these 19th century things, but you never know. But there really are quite a lot of violins in this auction, and just as I say that, it's nearly the end. Modern Italian violin labelled Andreas Renisto. Okay, 800 to 1200 on that. Few bits and pieces here. Old unvarnished cello body. 19th century Mittenwald cello here. 400 to 800 in need of restoration. Neumann Hornsteiner cello there, always pretty good. Interesting late 18th century, early 19th century cello. Yeah, that's a really nice looking cello. Really lovely back on that, so that's really pretty nice. 2 to 4,000 on that. Very poor state of repair. Yes, that is quite an interesting one. Good contemporary cello by and labelled Henri Delisle. Okay. Another contemporary English cello by William Piper. 1500 to 2000 on that. Interesting 18th century cello. 1500 to 2,500 on that. More information. 18th century English cello, they say. Okay. Mittenwald cello there. Another contemporary English cello by and labelled Malcolm Ray, Leicester. 19th century cello here in need of restoration. 250 to 450 there. German cello. Another English cello in need of restoration, so some good projects around. The varnish is taking a bit of a hit. By and labelled Geoffrey J. Gilbert, Peterborough. French cello in need of restoration by Francois Barzoni. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Another 18th century cello. It's quite nice back on that. 1500 to 2,500. There's some good cellos in this auction. 19th century cello there. Quarter size child's double bass. Let's have a look at this. Good modern English double bass made by John Bedingfield, Westcliff-on-Sea. 1988. 4 to 6 on that. 19th century German double bass there. 2 to 3. In professionally restored playing condition. Good French miracle double bass. Probably from the Charot family workshop. Okay. Let's see what else we got here. We're on to the final page. And so we got one last thing. A good 19th century miracle double bass. Probably by a member of the Jacquet family. So 4,500 to 6,500 on that. So there we go. I think that is the whole auction. We've just really blitzed through that, to be honest, just to give a brief overview, because we're a bit short on time. But I have to say, really interesting Gardiner Houlgate auction, actually. Some pretty cool stuff and really pretty diverse, so definitely worth looking at. I'll put a link in the description as always. I definitely recommend taking your own time to look through the auction, because there's something for everything in this auction. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching once again, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao.